backs against the wind. So if you've got love, then you're sitting on a gold mine, and you can't take it with you when you go. So don't wait, help your sister, forgive your brother and your neighbor. We all think we've got the time until we don't. Bring my flowers now while I'm living. I won't need your love when I'm gone. Don't spend time, tears, or money on my own breathless body. If your heart is in them flowers, bring them on. If your heart is in them flowers, I bring them on. A bright sunrise will contradict the heavy fall that weighs you down. In spite of all the funeral songs, the birds will make their joyful sounds. You wonder why the earth still moves. You wonder how you carry on. But you'll be okay on that first day when I'm gone. Dusk will come with fireflies and whippoorwill and crickets call, and every star will take its place in silvery gown and purple shawl. You'll lie down in our big bed, dread the dark and dread the dawn, but you'll be alright on that first night when I'm gone. You will reach for me in vain. You'll be whispering my name as if sorrow were your friend, and this world so alien. But life will call with daffodils and morning glorious blue skies. You'll think of me, some memory, and softly smile to your surprise. And even though you love me still, you will know where you belong. Just give it time, we'll both be fine when I'm gone.
So I said, listen, I got up and I said something about somebody's funeral or something. I said, man, I said, bring my flowers now while I'm living.
Bring my flowers now while I'm living. I won't need your love when I'm gone. Don't spend time, tears, or money on my own breathless body. If your heart is in them flowers, bring them home. All the miles cast a long shadow. I'd take a couple back if I could. I'd have learned to play guitar, tell my daddy more I loved him. But I believe for the most part I done good. There's always sunrise and rainbows and babies and the little things I cherish on my way. Even though one day they'll bury me and Jesse Ray, I just know we're gonna ride again someday. I bring my flowers now while I'm living. I won't need your love when I'm gone. Don't spend time, tears, or money on my own breathless body. Well, if your heart is in them flowers, bring them on.
Good morning. The family would like to thank you for your presence here today as we remember and celebrate the life of Steve Hall. We are going to have a slideshow, it said, and then Steve's brother, Jeff Hall, is going to speak. Then there's going to be a song, and Charlie Clute will follow the song, and then I'll wrap it up. We are glad you are here. If Steve were here, he would not want to see all that pouting. So I would ask you to smile. Even if you shed a tear, you should smile when you remember Steve. And so, I told you wrong, I think, Andrew. I think we're going to start with a slideshow, and then Jeff will speak.
Googie, I think you ought to hang me with a googie.
Yeah.
Googie, Googie, I think you ought to hang me with a googie. If we from the cry is straight. Cookies are the thing for me. Bam, 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 bam.
I want to tell you. I want to see you. You might be a fan. I want to be you. I do you.
In a place where I can feel the beating of your heart.
I like to eat M&M's and bananas. I like to eat apple and bananas. I just love mushrooms.
You like plain mushrooms?
I just love mushrooms because my dad loves mushrooms.
Oh, your dad likes plain mushrooms?
Yeah, Clint Eastwood. That's my dad.
If you wait for me, then I'll come for you. Although I've traveled far, I always hold a place for you in my heart. If you think of me, if you miss me once in a while, then I'll return to you. I'll return and fill that space in your heart. Remembering your touch, your kiss, your warm embrace, I'll find my way back to you. If
If you dream of me like I dream of you, in a place that's warm and dark, in a place where I can feel the beating of your heart. Remembering your touch, your kiss, your warm embrace, I'll find my way back to you if you'll be waiting. Oh, I longed for you, and I have desired to see your face, your smile, to be with you wherever you are. Remembering your touch, your kiss, your warm embrace, I'll find my way back to you. Please say you'll be waiting. Together again, it would feel so good to be in your arms, where all my journeys end. You can make a promise, if it's one that you can keep, I vow to come for you if you wait for me. And say you'll hold a place for me in your heart, a place for me in your heart.
Close. You should probably just roll it. Watch out!
I'm in Paraguay, and it's so hot and blistery sweat. My popcorn's just everywhere. Oh, God. Oh,
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about her every night and day. We spread our wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. See you walking through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. Those memories of you still haunt me. Every night when I lay down, but I'll always love you, little darling, the day that I begin to lay me down.
You've got to be kidding me. I just looked out the window, saw Dad, seriously. What is he up to? Like, what is he Dad, what are you? That is not a pond.
You don't know. You never fished in it. Cody. Working on my karate skills, Cody. What you... Oh. Anyway, you have a good summer because... No, you don't know if there's any fish in this pond. Right? So you have a good summer. Good summer now, you and your family.
There's not even any line on that.
You have to have line to fish. Anyway, these are my karate skills. That was called the goatee. Downward action motion.
Okay.
I'm so cool and awesome. I'm so cool and awesome. I'm cool and awesome. I'm so awesome, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Why did she have to go? So young, I just don't know why. Things happen half the time, without reason, without rhyme. Lovely, sweet young woman, daughter, wife, and mother, makes no sense to me. I just have to believe she flew up to heaven on the wings of angels by the clouds and stars that passed where no one sees. And she walks with Jesus and love and waiting, and I know she's smiling, saying, don't worry about me. Loved one she's left behind, just trying to survive, and we tell her why. Feeling so lost inside, anger shot straight at God, been asking for his love, empty in disbelief, just hoping that maybe she flew up to heaven on the wings of angels by the clouds and stars that passed where no one sees. And she walks with Jesus and her loved ones waiting, and I know she's smiling, saying, don't worry about me. It's hard to say goodbye. Her picture in my mind will always be of times I'll cherish, and I won't cry 'cause she flew up to heaven on the wings of angels by the clouds and stars that passed where no one sees. And she walks with Jesus and her loved ones waiting, and I know she's smiling, saying, don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me.
I had to wear this jacket today because my brother, he wore his about everywhere he went. But first off, I would like to thank everyone for attending today, and also ones that couldn't but are able to view the service online. My name is Jeffrey Hall, and Stephen Hall was my younger brother, Hollywood, as some of you probably know. and I only learned that a few years ago. So I really became close with my brother over the past couple of years. He moved to Oklahoma to stay with me and my wife to do some carpentry work on our barn dominium. Steve was a real character in his life, actually the life of the party, a very funny person as well as caring. He loved his children with all of his heart, and his grandchildren too. My grandson called him his BFF. All my grandkids thought he was everything, which he was. Growing up, Stephen always reminded me of the time I shot him with the BB gun. See, Steve had a small indentation between his eyes, and he swore up and down I did it, to which I have no memory, but, well, maybe I could have, who knows, but I'd never admit to it. As an adult, Stephen loved fishing and his motorcycle. He was a very good cook and could smoke the ultimate meats. There was a time he was working on our bathroom and needed some help putting up a stud in the wall. He was holding it, and I had to hold the nail gun and shoot it at that angle that he couldn't do it on his own. It veered off the board and hit him in his chest. All I saw was a little pinpoint of blood, which scared me because I thought it he said, "Did that hit me?" I said, "Well, of course." I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, crap." I thought, I went and ran and got my keys to my car, rushed him to the hospital, and he was being his usual self. We found out later that it went in, but Odom immediately turned and came back out. Was very lucky. So he took his tetanus shot, and we went back home. My wife was already on Facebook telling everybody that Jeff shot his brother. It was funny. Later, Steve forgave me. I said, "Thank you, brother." There was so much I could say about my brother. He was larger than life. I am missing you terribly, my friend, but I know you are no longer in pain and are in the ultimate place with Mom, Dad, and that beautiful little redhead Mary. Can't get much better than that. I love you, my brother. I will see you again. Thank you.
But thou art strong.
Jesus, keep me from all wrong. I'll be satisfied as long as I walk, dear Lord, close to thee. Through this world of toils and snares, if I falter, Lord, who cares? Who with me my burden share? thy kingdom shore, to thy shore. Just a closer walk with thee, 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 just a closer walk with thee. Granted, Jesus, if you please, daily walking close to thee, let it be, dear Lord, let it be, dear Lord, let it be.
Let it be, my dear Lord.
Let it be, dear Lord, let it be.
Hello to everyone. I'm not ready for this. Don't know if I ever will be. I told myself I'd be strong, but I'll try to do what I can. Hope through this. Steve Hall was my friend. He had lots of friends, obviously, family. He might have been a rough cut, but the man didn't have an evil bone in his body. And he was character. He could draw an audience anywhere he went. He was one of the first ones that reached out to me when I moved to Arkansas. He took me in, showed me around a little bit. I don't consider Steve, I know he's got immediate family, but I don't think Steve had friends. He had brothers and sisters. And that's the way he looked at it. Anyhow, I'll continue this later. I've got some words from Rita and the girls they would like me to share with you. This is from Rita. To know Steve was to love him. And if you loved him very long, it's likely there were times you hated him too. Amen. Grandma Fleming used the word scoundrel more than once while talking about him. She also told me that the reason she loved him so much is because he needed more love than other people. Quite the opposite of Grandpa Allen, since he locked him under the house. He had a way of getting under your skin, in good ways and in bad. I've known him since he was 19, married for 34 years, friends for almost 40. He's been a part of my life longer than he hasn't. Let me tell you what I know about him. Here we go. Stephen, I know, was a good man, flawed with a heart of gold. I know what made him the proudest and who he loved more than anything was his girls. Lord help anyone who crossed one of them, Brandy, Lucy, and Mary. He told me they were the best things he'd been able to accomplish in his life. Brandy and Lucy have both made their way in life, and that his love for them kept his heart from shattering when times were bad. We traveled through Mary's death together. It was the biggest heartbreak to face, so much that I don't know how he recovered completely. Had it not been for Brandy and Lucy, Rita doesn't think he'd have survived at all. I know he loved his grandkids and wished he'd spent more time with them. But the joy they brought him helped heal a broken place in his heart too. The moments that he was able to spend with them were some of the happiest. He cherished those memories. I know he loved his brothers and sisters and their families. He was glad to be able to live close to them and spend time with them. I'll get this here in a second, maybe. Let's see. He was glad to be able to spend some time with his family and that the last few years, and it healed another broken piece. I know he loved his friends. He loved being the life of the party, and man, he could make you laugh. Some of you might remember him as Hollywood, and that's highlighted there. You know who you are. Although I was rarely in on hanging with his friends, I know he cared deeply for them and helped when he could. And last and most importantly, I know he loved the Lord. Probably not like you or I do maybe, but for a fact that God's love was real to him. If you've ever heard him sing a hymn, you know exactly what I mean. I know he was grateful for forgiveness and grace. If Steve loved you, he loved you. Even though sometimes, like for all of us, it was difficult for him to show that. But if you're here, then you're one of those who loved him back, and you probably already knew that about him. So I'll end with a favorite verse of Steve's. He looked for the meaning of what it is to be still his whole life. I know that today he has found his place and is doing his part in exalting. I wish I could hear him singing Psalms 46:10, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." Next one I hear is from Lucy. Lucy says, "You're here today. Since you're here today, you will understand and have already heard. To know my dad was to love him, but to be his daughter was even better. You would also know how hard-headed he could be and could hold a grudge like no other. He loved fully and hard with all of his heart, but he could also be as mean as a snake. That never kept someone from going back to him and being friends again like day one." And that's the truth there. I could write a book, so I'll keep this short. My dad wasn't perfect. He definitely had his handful of blemishes, but one thing I do know, he was never a bad dad. I'm extremely thankful to be a daughter that is able to say these words. He never gave up on his girls, even if he felt his world was falling apart. As a child, he worked full-time and came home to work in the chicken houses or in the dairy, in the dairy. But he still made sure he ate dinner with us at the table, played catch with us, made us hideouts in the woods, ate mud pies we made for him, and made sure we were tucked in safely at night. And to make sure we all were safe before we got a little sleep, just so we could do it again the next day. He had quite an arraignment of friends. They're all unique in their own ways. He once borrowed a shirt from a friend and didn't return it in time. His friend called 911 because Dad had stolen his Popeye the Sailor Man shirt. He had another friend that showed up naked as a jaybird one day. Know what Dad said about the Popeye man. He can't help it. He's a good guy. Know what he said about the naked friend? Get him some britches and take him a sandwich. Dad typically tried to dig deep and see all the good in people and clung tighter to the less fortunate. What makes me sad is he did this for other people, but struggled to see all the goodness within himself. Dad loved to sing and dance and be a star of the show. He told stories differently to people, so if word got back to him, he would know who was spreading the news. From the version that was brought back to him anyway. That's pretty smart. Yeah, pretty clever, right? He was quick-witted and his funny responses and liked to make people laugh with his jokes. And was singing or dancing everywhere he went. He loved to dribble and piddle around with his knickknacks. One person he really looked up to and admired was my grandpa Jim. He always thought he was so smart and advanced and could see how much he loved his daughter like Dad did for us. For Christmas one year, he made my grandpa a wooden tie with an ace of spades. One of the biggest hobbies was model cars. He never followed the package instructions. He made them to his own specs. He felt set up in the back of his old ship. Hang on, I'm jumping around here. He once had working headlights on a model car, had a pool table with felt set up in the back of an old Chevy model, and made me a car from an old turtle shell I found, to which he displayed my troll doll in the seat. I have many memories of my dad. I'm glad I was part of his life to be able to have. Oh, let me do that again. I have many years of memories of my dad. I'm glad I was part of it. I was part of his life to be able to have them. A lot of people say I look and act a lot like him. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a good or bad thing. So I'll just continue to carry him around with me. I'll end with this. Valuable lessons are great to have. Some I've learned from Dad are to love hard, appreciate the time we have with family, and work hard and be thankful for what you have, and live and laugh in the moment. The valuable lesson he didn't directly tell me or teach me, but from what I picked up from him being one of my best friends, it's never too late to take back your life. Learn to forgive yourself and learn to give yourself some grace. That was from Lucy. This one here is from Brandy. Brandy writes, I've never fully understood the pain another was going through with losing a parent until I experienced it myself. My dad was full of love. He loved his dog, he loved his job, he loved his friends. He loved food, especially hot dogs. He loved the chickens and the cows, he loved his toys. He loved his family, and he, without a doubt, loved his girls. Yes, love is a word just like any other word, but love isn't alive unless we activate it. My dad was one who put the love into everything he did. He wasn't perfect. It always amazed me that he could rant and rave about my mom all day, not taking a breath, but with his last sentence, he would be, your mom is a good woman. He asked more times than I could count, am I a good daddy? I would always reply, of course you are, Dad. He would say, good, I'm glad, because I want to be a good dad for you girls. I am blessed to say I had one adventurous childhood exploring places. My dad was always right there. He was no second chance man when it came to discipline. We walked in single file in line at church, and we didn't come that way. I will never forget the day all three of us complained about cleaning, so he made 3 sections in the yard that we had to cut with scissors. I'm sure people driving by wondered what in the world we were doing. 100 degrees, and 3 hours later, me and Lucy had our grass all trimmed up. But Mary, she didn't have a piece of grass left in the area. She even cut up to the roots. All in all, we learned that inside chores weren't so bad after all. Dad was working in a chicken house one day. While us girls were supposed to be cleaning the kitchen, we got the bright idea to take all the food from the pantry, display it on the butcher block, and take selfies with a new Polaroid camera. We were having the time of our lives, posing with a loaf of bread and a can of beans, until we looked up and saw Dad watching us through the window, shaking his head. Moving back to Clinton 4 years ago, I didn't know that I would be giving back what was given to me so quickly, and knowing it would come to an end. I became a protector. Love, encouragement, care, time, not giving up on a man who never gave up on me. The last 4 years have definitely been an experience. I'm blessed to still have hair, but I guess so was he after all my years. 3 years ago, my dad told me to get up one morning. He wanted me to look him in the eye, because if I didn't, I wasn't going to learn a thing. He said, follow me, I'm going to show you and teach you everything you need to know. I went from a clueless 5'4" girl to having the knowledge and skill to make it out here. My dad is a very smart man, jack of all trades. I could go on and on. He wanted to make sure I was going to be okay when he was gone, and I knew that. I'm blessed to have walked and experienced everything I have with my dad. To the light, my dad, my first hero, my number one fan, my daddy, Stephen Hall. I don't know how many Steves you all know in your lives, but I've probably known 200 or 300. But I promise you, when I hear that name, Steve, that's the one that comes to mind. Every time. And he always will. That's a face I'll never forget. I've known people that were like brothers to me growing up through my life and all my travels. that were really close, but I couldn't tell you what they looked like right now. I couldn't tell you who they were. If they walked in here right now, I couldn't tell you. But I could Steve. As I said earlier, he was my first friend, and here in Arkansas, and he's been my friend the longest of anyone. Like you all know, he loved to sing, and he sang from the heart. He didn't like to do it from the book. He sang from here, okay? And he didn't have to have your words because he had his own. He was one of those guys that oftentimes we'd find ourselves discussing God. And we struggled with some of the same things, you know. And he brought me closer to God. He's bringing me closer to God right now as I speak. He was put in our lives for a reason. I don't know what it is, but I'm okay with it. We're right where we're supposed to be, and he's right where he's supposed to be. On January 24, 2023 was the most important day of his life. And I think he was ready. He was right with God. Remember a time when, I don't know if Bobby was there or not. Bobby's in here right now. Sorry, Bobby. Back then it was called Harvest Foods. I need to stand up. That's right. I'm sorry. Steve would have smacked me upside the head for doing that. We were doing some shopping for something. We were going to do a barbecue, and Steve got ahead of me, and next thing you know, I hear him singing. And Steve and I used to practice gospel all the time. And so we got pretty good at it there for a while. And I could hear him singing in the background. I came up the aisle and I joined in. And before you knew it, I looked around and the whole store had stopped. 3 cashiers, everybody shopping. The lady behind the courtesy counter and customers had just stopped. And we're all listening. I looked up and this lady started crying. And then this lady started crying. Then I started crying. Of course, Steve was already crying. I think he's the one that started them all off. We could hardly finish the song. That's just the kind of guy he was, and he loved to do stuff like that. He could really touch you in a way I don't think any other person in my life has been able to touch me. We were driving on a road back from work one day, and it was icy and rainy. There was ice on the ground and rain on top of it, so it was super, super slick. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this old lady come out her front door. So I hit the brakes real hard. We come to a screeching halt. We had a guy with us, and he nagged and moaned and groaned. What are you stopping for? It's time to go home. It was after work, blah, blah, blah. He got to go. And while he was nagging and complaining, Steve was grabbing his gloves and his jacket because he knew exactly what was going on. And what it was this little old lady. Somebody had brought her firewood and just thrown it out in the front yard. She had to walk across that front yard in that ice, you know, this little crippled old lady, to get firewood to burn in her house. And so Steve and I jumped out and we stacked it on her porch and carried a bunch inside for her, while the other guy sits there moaning and groaning because he wanted to go home. Okay, that's the kind of man Steve was. He knew. Steve always seemed to show up around in my life when I was down and I needed some encouragement, and he would be there. He would goad you when you needed to goad, but he would jump your butt when you needed it to jump too. I love the man. I'll never forget him. It kind of breaks my heart that I spent 20 years ripping and running with this man, and I don't have a picture one of him. Or I don't know if there's a picture one of him and I together. But I still have this right here. And as long as I have memories of Steve, it'll bring a smile to me later on. It's kind of ironic that, you know, I think we love and love hurts. It really does. I don't think we would have a reason to cry if we didn't love. And it's kind of ironic, like I said, one of the last songs Steve and I were working on was a song called Love Hurts. And I'm just glad I got to sing that song with him. Anyway, thank you.
I've known Steve and Rita for a long time. There are two things that stick in my mind about Steve. One was his heart. And I saw that heart on display everywhere from Tuba City, Arizona at the Indian Reservation to Guatemala, but especially the orphanage in Haiti, Cap-Haitian Haiti. One of the blessings Steve was to me was the example he set for my children on those trips. My daughter can remember huddling in the shade after a long day working in the clinic, just trying to get a little rest. And Steve would come by, who had actually been doing work all day. He would say, "Get up. There are kids to hug, and we can rest later." When we were there, he never had an empty lap. We went back the second time, and we pull into the compound, and they know we're coming. And they greet our vehicles, screaming, "Steve, Steve, Steve," like none of the rest of us had even been there the year before. But he loved them, and they knew it, and they loved him back. The second thing I admired about Steve was his courage. There were things in his life that brought him to his knees. And I saw him face some very hard times, and I saw him overcome, and I saw him continue to bless. When we went to Haiti, the guy that was preparing us to go was telling us what we could expect when we got there. And he said, when you go to bed at night in the compound, you'll hear voodoo drums, but it's okay. I didn't think those two things went together in the same sentence, voodoo drums and okay. But it was kind of a scary place to walk around. But wherever we needed to go to do what we needed to do, Steve went. We went to the hospital and handed out medicines. We walked some streets that would have been scary had they been in America, and they were in Cap-Haitian Haiti. But my daughter remembers the greatest display of courage that Steve showed when he boarded that plane that took us from Florida to Cap-Haitian Haiti. It wasn't very big, and we filled it up. And once you were in the air, it could be blown around. It would go 6 feet to the right and drop 12 feet and then come right back up. My daughter said Steve would squeal like a girl. He was so scared of flying in that plane, but he still went because there were kids on the other side that needed to be hugged. I am grateful to have known Steve, to have spent time with him in situations that allowed us to grow and to help others to grow. I pray that as you go through this time, you remember those times with Steve. Times he would laugh and make you laugh. Times when he made you feel like you were the most important person in that moment. And you had all of his attention and all of his heart. The verse that reminds me most of Steve, Philippians chapter 4, beginning with verse 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I will say rejoice. Let your forbearing spirit be known to all men. The Lord is near. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all comprehension, shall guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Steve knows that peace better than any of us. Would you bow with me, please? Our Father, we are grateful for the lives that you bring to us, the lives that we get to share. We're grateful to you for those people, Father, who bring us closer to you, who make our lives more bearable, who bring joy and peace into a world of darkness and hate. We're grateful, Father, for the blessings that we have through these people. We're grateful to have known Steve Hall. We are grateful to know that he is with you now. We ask, Father, as we go through this life, you help us to turn to you in times when there is pain and hurt, to know your peace that goes beyond understanding. Forgive us for our short-sightedness. Forgive us for the times when we're not enough like your Son or you. Bring us closer to you, Father. I pray for those who love Steve and miss him, that you will help them, Father, to know the grief for the void that he has left in our lives. But also, Father, to know your peace and your comfort and your strength. The things that brought blessing to Steve and will bring blessing to us. Help us, Father, as we go through this day and this week and this next month. Help us, Father, through the times that would break us, bring us to you and make us stronger. Help us, Father, to find the joy that you have placed in this life for us. Help us to know that joy as well as we knew Steve. We pray in Christ's name. Amen. I want to thank you very much for being here. I know that Steve would appreciate it. There are two things waiting in the room next door. There is a meal that has been prepared, and I invite you to stay and share that meal with us. And there are memories to be shared next door. And I would invite you to spend the next few moments speaking about Steve and what we've known of him and the times we've known him and the blessing that he's been to us. This day should end with a chuckle and a grin, because that's what Steve would have wanted, and it's what he would have done. So we invite you to join us next door. Thank you very much. We are dismissed.
A bright sunrise will contradict the heavy fall that weighs you down. In spite of all the funeral song, the birds will make their joyful sound. You wonder why the earth still moves. You wonder how you care